Awesome, everybody. So welcome to your Future Leaders Today, episode 60. And it's good to see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. Thank you very much, Andy, for reaching out and including some people from your community into here. Future Leaders normally has Richard on. Richard can't make this call. So between us, we run these calls because we really do believe this is, well, as a few people have said, the greatest transference of wealth the world's ever seen. Like we're birthing a new asset class right in front of us. The wealth of money that sits behind the have-nots is moving into a new pool, and the haves have more of an opportunity to have that, and hopefully create a more balanced playing field for everybody. And if you can imagine how much the internet changed things, and how the internet absorbed telecoms, or blockchain will absorb the internet, and it's a really magical time to be able to see this happening right in front of our eyes. So we started these calls purely just to create a space so that we could help people transition from not having a clue about crypto into something else, something new, so that they could better understand it. And for as long as the narrative on the street is that crypto is bad, Ponzi, dodgy, or whatever you want to call it, then we're still incredibly early, because when that narrative starts to change from mainstream media, we'll know then that we're at the beginning of a new period or a new cusp with it as well. So as I said earlier, the calls are really fluid, they're really open. The topic we're going to be discussing today is seed phrases, why it's important, what are they, why it counts, how to look after it, everything around it. I don't come from a space of expertise. I create a community to learn just as much as I want to teach as well. So don't feel, this definitely isn't going to be a call where I'm going to be going through a whole host of slide shares, teaching you something. I've got some stuff I definitely want to go through. But the main thing here is that if everyone on this call, just at the end of it, has a really good understanding of what their seed phrase is, why it is what it is, why it's important, and why, most importantly, you absolutely have to look after it. And after being in the space for nearly 4 years, this year, I really get it. I really, really, really get it now, or in the last 6 months anyway. So that's what I wanted to share. Like, it's become a really big thing. And on the last call, I think it was Ben who suggested that we should just have a call just on seed phrases. So we do, what is a seed phrase? Fantastic. So that's a really, and the fact that you put a seed phrase, we can cover that as well, Anne-Marie. There is absolutely no question here that can't be asked. I am in a few crypto groups, and let's just say, if your question is too newbie, it's like tumbleweed, and no one answers anything. So we're going to cover a few things. But before we begin, I do always ask for the new people that are here to just share over a minute, if you're comfortable to do so, where you're at in your crypto journey. You know, whether you've done absolutely nothing, whether you're a veteran, just give us 30 seconds, a minute, just so we can just have a general understanding, because everyone that comes on the call, I kind of know where they're all at, even if you've only been on the call once and you're coming back again. So I think you were pretty much the same screen order as I have. James, you were first in. Do you mind giving us a bit of a 1 minute, kind of, I suppose, where you're from as well? It's always keen to know where people are coming from as well.
Yes, okay. So as you can see, my name is James. I've come onto this group via Andrea through the Cup of Coffee group, which is the property group. I've got 4 properties at the moment, which are the single buy-to-lets. I've been doing that a few years and been into the Cup of Coffee group for about 2 or 3 years. They have their meetings on Saturday morning, so I tend to not be able to jump in on them, but I do listen to them via the what does Tom do on the Spotify? So he downloads them on the Spotify. I scroll down and have a look at the ones that I thought were interesting. So there was one that was recorded about cryptos, whatever it was, and I started to listen to it. And one of the first things they started to talk about was blockchain, and the rest of it is completely over my head. So apart from what people say about Bitcoin and what is the media, I have absolutely no idea, and I still didn't really have any real understanding after listening to the meeting of what, as you said, you've now said a C phrase. I have no idea what that is. A blockchain, I've got no idea what that is, and really Bitcoin and crypto coins don't really have any kind of understanding. So when This evening, this cropped up and said, if you wanted to join the meeting, I thought, well, I'll join the meeting and see if I am more enlightened at the end. So that's basically my background. How does that sound?
Oh, that's brilliant. That's good. So it's my goal then, if I can enlighten you 1% by the end of this call, I'm going to consider that a win. So
but you're starting from zero, so put it that way.
So 100% improvement if we get to 1. Brilliant. All right. Fantastic. We'll sort all that. Thank you, James, for sharing. Josh, do you want to give us a 60-second roundup of yourself?
Yeah. So I'm basically a newbie, really. I do a little bit of investing. I hold some Ethereum. I think the problem with me is I'd buy a bit of crypto, see some bad news and sell. And probably I just want to increase my knowledge around just the whole space, to be honest with you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant, James. Thank you very much. Mind me just asking quickly, when you buy, what platform do you use?
Binance.
Okay, cool. Thanks, bro. Where we are now, Tirath, and then just let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly as well. Are you there? You just unmuted yourself. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So I'm pretty new to the space. I've been in it for about 3 or 4 months. My cousin got me into it. My cousin got me into it, but it was mainly on the fact of making money. And then I went down the rabbit holes of crypto space, and you just get deeper and deeper, and it becomes such an interesting space. And it's come to the point where I've switched, like the majority of my portfolio is in crypto at the moment. But I'm also trying to learn more. I'm relatively new, obviously. I didn't go through the bear markets that I've been in previous and the bull market. So this is my first bull run. So I'm looking forward to seeing where crypto goes in terms of technology and where the cryptos go in terms of the graphs and how high they go, etc.
When you say the majority of portfolios in crypto now, what was it in before that?
It was in like just stocks, just random stocks. Yeah. I use Binance and Qcoin, and I am starting to dabble with Uniswap at the moment.
Cool, brilliant. All right, we did a Uniswap call last week, but I've got an error on the file at the minute that I'm trying to fix to get it.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for joining, Tirath, as well. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah, you are.
Super duper. All right, and Marie, was your 60-second crypto roundup?
Okay, well, as you can see from my question, I'm a complete newbie, know nothing. Well, I say I know nothing. I've heard bits here and there. Someone did try explaining to me about wallets and keys, private keys, public keys, and all that sort of, it was too much for me to take in. So I sort of ditched Bitcoin. It does seem attractive, but what puts me off, and I'm hoping, I don't know, I can maybe get over this, or maybe not, but is the fact that it relies on the internet, and the powers that be could easily switch it off or switch off the electricity full stop, and then nobody can, you can't buy anything, you can't trade. And the banks could probably bring out their own version of Bitcoin, which I'm sure would just be another slave token. But I don't know, I'm worried about regulation and whatnot being able to stop cryptocurrencies from being useful. That's probably why I've not invested in it so far, and why I've not made any attempt to learn any more about it since the debacle with the wallet, etc. So you never know,
cool.
It might become different after tonight.
Okay, no, and I think your question there is a very standard objection that most people have. They're like, hey, why would they, whoever they are, allow this to be made? And it's and you can unpack that a million ways, but as a base question, it's a valid question. Let's see if we can kind of throw some light onto that in and around seed phrases as well. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Coming down, we've got Louise Wilson. Don't know if you're related to Chris Wilson. Are you in 2 different rooms, or just have to have the same last name?
No, he's my brother. We're in 2 different houses.
Okay.
So similar to James, I was invited by Andrea through a cup of coffee because I'm a property investor. Just want to kind of diversify. So I want to learn a little bit more about crypto. I am a complete newbie as well. So just kind of looking to learn. I mean, anything will be a lesson, really.
That's cool.
So yeah, just here to get as much information as possible and just pick up from people who are already investing.
Totally cool. Thank you very much, Louise, for joining. Chris, yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Chris. Yeah, pretty much what Lou said. Complete newbie. Came invited through Andrea. Biggest struggle, I think, with I can't explain it. I feel like obviously with the recent performance of crypto, it's quite high. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm early or late to the party, really. I don't want to obviously buy in quite high and then it drop, and I don't want to like not take that chance either. So I just thought, come on, connect with people and who do it, and yeah, gain a bit more knowledge.
Cool. That's awesome. Is that? No, I understand that, and again, totally valid questions. In short, I can definitely say that you're super early, but I get how the inner system can feel like you're late. So. We'll see if we can squeeze into as well. Thank you very much, Chris. Nice to see another person from my neck of the woods as well. I'm from Accrington originally. I can see a Liverpool shirt in the background there. Cool. Thank you, brother. We got Aid Banks. One word, two words. Can you hear us? And have I said your name correctly? Do you want to give us 60 seconds, or you don't have to if you don't want? I'm raising Ron Store. Let us know on the chat, Aid, if you can hear us, if you want to chat. Letitia, we know. Joe, we know. Ben, we know. Ben, with Richard not being here, you're my fellow OG on this call as well. So we'll have to see what we can. I might bounce off you a little bit. And we got Temitope. Can you hear us? And have I said your name right? Okay, cool. So. We'll have a see if either Aid or Temitope you're available, then just let us know in the chat. Other than that, we are going to kick off. So for the most part, I'm just looking through the screen now, even though some of you guys consider yourselves new, there's only a couple of us on this call who would be far beyond that. So even some of the people that I've got on here, when it comes to especially what we're talking about here, seed phrases, would still be fairly new, because until you've really spent some time on it, it's a new topic. I'm just going to, I'm using two things. I'm just going to spotlight that later. Okay, cool. Okay, so because of that, Ben, are you cool as well, seeing as the majority of the people on here are newbie, that we just take it back a couple of steps? We're not going to go too deep into seed phrases. There's no point to just go over tons of people's heads. So I'm just going to, I'm going to take it back a few steps. I mean, just give me a second. Okay, so let's put some context to things, because let me see it. Those faces, new spotlight. All right. We're going to have to suspend a part of a conversation about kind of what blockchain is a little bit, why it's so important, why you're not too late for the game. These are all really in themselves big conversations and big topics. The only context or analogy I could give is it's in the same way as right now, if I said, how would you explain the internet to your granddad? What would you say? You know, at best, I've asked this before on these calls, people are like, oh, well, it's a series of computers connected together around the world that hold information. But your granddad still wouldn't understand that. You get it, but like you're talking about the cloud. And even the cloud for some people is just this unfathomable thing, but I go on my computer, I type some things in and a screen comes up. But as a simple analogy, if you think of a blockchain as another cloud, it's a cloud of information, it's a cloud of data. That's it. But what makes it different is its decentralized nature, which means it's not got any one party holding something. Right now, if Amazon went down and Amazon service went down, half the internet would be wiped out, because so much of the internet relies on Amazon servers. So one of the big things that's different with a blockchain compared to the internet is its decentralized nature. It exists everywhere and nowhere, and that can be a really difficult concept to understand. But we're just going to have to suspend a little bit of the conversation to allow us to move into wallets and seed phrases, which I at least want to try and pack into here. So we have these things called tokens, these things called coins, and they sit in wallets. It's really difficult without kind of going through blockchain stuff, but I'm just going to work with this, and you're welcome to ask any questions as we go along, guys. In the same way you have a bank account right now, that bank account holds something in it. And you think it holds money, but really it just holds data. It just holds information. You log onto your bank, you see some numbers on the screen. There's no actual cash there. It only becomes cash when you take it out. It's just numbers on the screen. A wallet is an incredibly similar thing. And a wallet will hold pieces of information within it. And just like you would have a bank account here, and you're going to send it to someone else's information over there, they transfer between the two. When I talk about a seed phrase, we're not talking the letter C, we're talking about a seed, like an S-E-E-D. And where a seed phrase comes into the mix is that, and I'm going to try, just bear with me on this, guys. I do like trying to explain complex topics easily, so I'm trying to make sure I cover everyone's in here. When we have this big piece of information, this big cloud of data, it is identified by an incredibly long number. Just like you imagine you attach your bank account, your sort code, and everything else all together, you'd have a really long piece of string. That is an address. And that is an address that sits in this cloud. And just like right now, if I said, where are your emails? And you might say, oh, my emails are on my phone. Well, I could turn around and say, well, they're not really on your phone, because if I get a computer and I log into your emails, I see the same emails here. So they're not on your phone, they're not on a computer, they're stored somewhere up here. And that place that they're stored up here, you're just using a form to see them. That's the same way as thinking about a blockchain. All this information is stored within this space up here. And you just use something called a wallet to inspect the blockchain and see what's in it. Each one of those pieces of addresses up there belongs to somebody, belongs to an identity. You don't know who that is necessarily. That address is derived from an algorithm, a mathematical algorithm. It comes out of something called a public key that's derived out of something called a private key that's derived out of something called a seed phrase. All of those addresses that you see in a blockchain, you don't have a clue who they are, all of them stem from a seed. And just like right now, if you take a seed and you plant a seed and you get a tree, it's exactly the same as what you go get with the blockchain. So everyone starts with a seed, and this seed I'll move on to in a little bit what it looks like. It's a long word. And that seed is when you generate a seed, that seed is your seed. That seed will grow, let's just call it a digital tree. That digital tree will have digital branches. And each of those branches can have literally an unlimited number of addresses that sit in a blockchain. So the importance of a seed is that if right now, if I had your Gmail login and your Gmail username, I could open Gmail on my phone. I could put James's email address in. I could put James's password in, and I would have access to James's emails. So James knows, as we all know, it's really important not to give out your email and password. Or you would obviously give out your email, but think of something where you would have a username. You might not want someone to know that information. It becomes very, very, very important. Take that same importance and put it on a seed. Because if Chris has, no, who's Josh? Josh has got some crypto, but he's in Binance, so that would work. Ben has a seed phrase that's on this call. If I get access to his seed phrase and I put his seed phrase into a piece of software, I will birth the exact same tree that Ben has. I will see all of those addresses and I will see all of those private keys. And I have access to unlock, transfer, send all of his crypto that is in a blockchain. All because all of his addresses stem from the same branches, stem from the same seed. And so the importance of a seed is so much more than just a backup or something like that. It's a mathematical algorithm that produces an unlimited set of pieces of information just for that seed. And in the same way as I couldn't explain to you right now what hypertext transfer protocol is, you use it every day. When you go onto an internet address and you type it in, you begin by typing HTTP. That stands for hypertext transfer protocol. It is the protocol by which the whole world agrees that data, which looks like this, bear with me a second. Just so that people can kind of get a bit of an idea. I'm just going to spotlight this for everyone now. Should all be able to see my screen right now? I go to F12, 11. There we go. You can all see on the right-hand side there all of this code. That code that you see on the right-hand side there is what makes up a website. Websites are just letters, numbers, and binary. But hypertext transfer protocol is what turns that website into something that is understandable, something that's readable. In exactly the same way, this is a seed phrase. It's a series of words. And I'll go into what makes up the words in a little bit. I'm just going to keep it really top level whilst also covering something can be quite complex. These seed phrases, when put together, think of them as if you were to put these words back to back, 24 words, they make up an incredibly long and very unique number. When that number is put through a certain algorithm, certain process, just like hypertext transfer protocol is, you get some results. And those results are a lot of public addresses and private addresses that all stem from the same seed phrase. So I'm covering all of that first. I want to come around to some kind of basic questions because I'm trying to squeeze basically the whole thing there into 10 minutes. Some of it makes sense, some of it won't do, but it's the questions that are going to start to put more clarity on this. So Anne-Marie has said, so is a seed like my username and password from my email? Very much. However, I'm going to take the analogy away from email because if you and me were talking, you would give me your email address. Is that correct? Yeah. But imagine if you were logging onto your bank. When you log onto your bank, you probably have a username. Yeah. Sometimes it's given, sometimes you can type it yourself. But you would never tell me what that is. Now, if you give it me, I still can't get access. I need other pieces of information. But that username and password for your bank is more like your seed phrase. If I have access to it, and let's just assume for a minute that we don't have a secondary password where it says enter the 7th and 4th letter. If you give me access to your username and your email and your password for your bank, then I could go to your bank, log on, and I can see your accounts. Each one of those accounts, let's say you've got multiple accounts. Each one of those accounts is a different cryptocurrency. You might have one right now in your bank that's for bills. Maybe you have one that's for savings. Maybe you have one that's for, I don't know, going out and play, something like that. Well, in the same way with the seed phrase, you might have one for Bitcoin. You might have one for Ethereum. You could have one for Litecoin. Pretty much, I'm going to say because you're all new, a lot of people are new on this call, I'm going to say for all of you, all coins that you can think of, and there are 6,500 coins, all of them have agreed or can work with the same protocol, just like the whole world agrees that hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP, is the way in which we take that code we turn it into a pretty website. Everyone has agreed that from these seed phrases, it makes the most perfect sense that we can work through a few algorithms that make it very complex, that by the time you get to the end, it's almost unhackable. You can never say something is truly unhackable, but it's incredibly secure. And it's all birthed out of a combination of these seed phrases. There is no fallback if you lose your seed phrase. There is no fallback if you lose your seed phrases. I really want that to sink in. So when you set up a wallet and it says, this is your seed phrase, please back it up. I can't stress enough how important that is to back up. There is a general rule that you would only ever write it down. You would never type it onto a computer because of the problems on computers and because most of us have insecure computers, most of us. Because most of us have never been trained in it. We're not taught it. If you're older than 30, if you grew up climbing trees and at some point someone said, hey, here's a computer, you probably have a poor method for privacy and a poor method for security. Most likely with the clients I work with, you're still creating passwords out of your mind and they get a bit longer and a few exclamation marks here. And there's no real system for storing your passwords and managing it. And there's no real system for securing your computers. So the ability to have key logging software on your computer is very real. So as you're hitting keys on your keyboard, a piece of software is literally logging every single one of those keys. And that's why typing something on a computer can be a risk. So there's a general rule with seed phrases that you write them down on something physical. To give you an idea of physical things, there's devices that do it, paper that does it. You get these things called crypto steels that do it, which are like fireproof, bomb-proof, everything-proof. There's all sorts of ways, but in the most simplest of way, never let perfection get in the way in the productivity. In the most simplest of way, you would write your 24 words down on a piece of paper. There's a whole process around how you store that, how you look after that, how you make sure it's safe. What if there's a fire? Where will I keep it? What if someone gets hold of it? There's all sorts of things there, which we can cover on this call, of course. But the writing of it down or the storing of it so it's safe is super important. If someone else gains access to it, they can, and most likely, will take all of whatever is in that tree, if they're nefarious. I'm not talking about your mum or your brother or something. Storing it down. There's one point I'm going to make then. That's me. Okay, so the storing of it ultimately is incredibly safe. It births that same tree. It's really important to begin with that. And that's why I really want to make a good point of understanding it, because it can be something that's easily looked over and you kind of think, oh, I don't need to store it. You write it down on a scratchy piece of paper. So seeds birth trees. Trees have branches. Each branch can be separate from another branch. Just like you have those 4 different accounts, you could also hold within each account multiple currencies. So you might have pounds, euros, Canadian dollar, American dollar. In the same way, a tree can have multiple Bitcoin addresses. It can have multiple Ethereum addresses. There's no end to the size. I still have about 20 seed phrases. And I have 20 seed phrases because when I was starting my crypto journey, I didn't know that you could use the same seed phrase over and over again. I didn't know that that seed phrase births the same tree. So every time I started a new wallet and it said, hey, do you want to generate a new wallet? I'd say yes. And it would say, here's your 24 seed phrase, write it down. So I've literally got loads and I'm working through a process right now of only having 1 or 2. So I'm going to pause there. Let me just read Tirat's question. How do you acquire your seed phrase off an exchange? Okay. Really good question. And that's why when I mentioned Ben earlier, I paused. This is the point I was going to make. When we talk about crypto, it's part of what FLT is about. We refer to Future Leaders Today, which is a group that Andy has invited some of you into. Future Leaders Today has a few spokes to its wheel, but one of the big ones is sovereignty. And sovereignty comes in the form of yourself, like being a sovereign being, being able to hold your own in a conversation, not getting emotionally attached to things and irate. But when we look at finances, sovereign finance is the ability for you to own your own money. For as long as your money is a bank, it's not your money. They have custody over that money. And I've got some people I'm working with, so a friend on this call, who this morning was on the phone to their bank and got triggered from that call, got a reaction, an emotional reaction from that call, because they don't want this person to take their money out and put it into crypto. I don't know if you've ever had your accounts frozen. If you've ever had a bank ask why you're spending that money. But I want you to really think about it. Like, I hate it when a bank says, oh, what's the payment for? Because part of me is like, it's none of your business what the payment's for. It's my money. I quite often pay to have a bank account with you, and I will do what I want with my money. But with regulations getting tighter and tighter, they really want to know what your money's for. And so crypto is sovereign money. And we can throw that word out there, sovereign finance. But what does it mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. You can never lose that money in that bank. They can freeze it. And okay, there are instances where a government can seize the asset, but there are exceptional circumstances. You can walk into that bank right now. James can forget about a bank account. Louise can, for 20 years, walk in with a passport and say, I have a bank account with you. I've not used it in ages, I'd like access to it. And there'll be a process you go through, but you will have access to that bank. When you are working with a wallet, a self-custody wallet, that means I am the custodian. I'm the person that looks after it. All the responsibility is on you, which is why I reiterate multiple times, if you lose your seed phrase, you lose access to your crypto. Full stop. There is no backdoor recovery. So Tirath says, how do you acquire your seed phrase off Binance or KuCoin? An exchange is not self-custody. An exchange, it's wrong to say it's a bank. Think of it like a bank. When I put my crypto into that exchange, they're now looking after it. They have a wallet and they have a seed phrase, and it's their responsibility to manage that. I get a username and password, just like you would do a bank. Different services than a bank. But think of it like this. You have companies that operate in a sphere and they do a job like a bank, and they have their own wallets and seed phrases and security and everything. They just give you a username and password to log in. In that instance, if you lose that username and password, you can probably email them, provide your passport again, prove who you are, and they'll give you access. Not too much of a problem. But the minute you take that money off, so is it Josh? Got a small screen at the minute. Yeah, Josh. So the minute Josh using Binance, Tirath's using Binance with Coin, the minute you want to take that money out and put it into a wallet that you own, that you're looking after, you will have a seed phrase for that wallet. As soon as it loads up, it's going to say, hey, here's your seed phrase. It will give it to you. And that's where it's important. That's the difference between self-custody, me, and third-party custody or counter custody, like someone else other than me. So counterparty risk. We'll just say a third-party custody. Self-custody, third-party custody. Also, how can you buy crypto without a bank? I'll kind of park that one for now. I just want to stick on seed phrases and wallets in general for now. And Louis says, what do you recommend, self-custody and third-party? Before I answer those questions, both really good questions, all three are good questions. And he says, in some places there are Bitcoin ATMs where you could put cash in and get BTC. Oh, that's Letitia. Yeah, there's a few ways to buy crypto without a bank. And we'll definitely open those up. I want to open it up to people first. I'm just going to take myself off spotlight view. See everybody. Because some of this stuff can be really big, really heavy, and there are people that are at very different levels here. So I am curious, before I answer those questions, if anybody could unmute themselves or just share how much that makes sense. I don't want to pick on anyone in particular, but I'm just curious, in general, have any pennies started to drop about how a seed phrase births these things that gives you access to all these addresses that sit in a blockchain, and how that seed's really important? Makes sense or not?
Yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Still, obviously, I understand that the seed phrase is my sort of an important access key, if you like. Where it comes from, or how you get it, or whatever. No idea, but I guess you've not told us that bit yet, anyway. So,
when you create a wallet, which I might be able to do. I'll do a little run through of creating a wallet. I've got a piece of software on here, just like you would. We've all got. I imagine you've all got smartphones.
yeah.
If you opened up Gmail for the first time on your smartphone, it would say to you one of two questions. Do you know what they would be? I'm going to ask you and Marie, as we're in chat.
So it asks you which account you want to open or something. Which
Yeah. Most sites are going to say, do you want to sign up or do you want to sign in?
Yeah.
That email application has one job, and that is to manage emails. And when you go onto it, it says, hey, basically, are you a new customer or an existing customer?
Yeah.
Just like you have Gmail, which is an app to monitor emails, there are softwares which manage and monitor crypto. No different. And instead of sending emails between each other, you're sending crypto tokens with each other. The fact that there's a price attached to them, just park that for now. It's just data moving between two parties. And when you load one of these pieces of software, it will say, do you want to generate a wallet, which means sign up, or do you want to restore a wallet, which means sign in? And there's hundreds of pieces of software that do wallets. Some of them are physical, what we call hard wallets. Some of them are on the computer, which we called, cold wallets. And some of them are on the computer, which we call a hot wallet. Hot meaning it's a geek term. A hot device is a device that's connected to the internet. And the reason
it isn't connected to the internet then.
A hot wallet is a hot wallet would sit on your computer. Most people's computers have or do connect to the internet. And so that software would be called a hot wallet. Yes. If my wallet is a physical device, which I have next to me.
Oh, like a pen thing. Yeah, okay.
They look like USB pens. They're not. They just look like them. This is a cold wallet because if I put my seed into here, I want you to imagine that it's birthed a digital tree, and I've got all these addresses and all these private keys which unlock my address are in here. For as long as my private keys are in here, you can never, ever, ever take them. You literally have to come and take this device and gain access to this device to be able to have access to the private keys. If I put my seed phrase into a hot wallet on my computer, and by hook or by crook, somebody gains access to my computer remotely, hacks it, puts keylogging software on, then they could steal my private keys.
Yeah.
So we just simplify wallets into two types: cold, hot. And there are different levels of risk with both of them, because obviously, like, if I lose this, I lose my keys. But if I have my seed phrase written down somewhere, I can put it into another one of these and birth the exact same tree. Just like if you lose your phone, you do not lose your emails.
Yeah.
You lose your phone, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, but you just go and find someone else. You could come to my computer, literally, I just need to check my email, put your details in, boom, it's all there. So that seed phrase is important, and wallets are wallets come in hot form or cold form. So good point, Ben. I'll come on to that in a minute, actually. So I'm just going to come back to ask questions. I'm going to, James, if you don't mind me asking you a question, you're my anchor to see how much I'm losing or gaining in explanations. We're going to be covering a lot in this call. Curious how much of that is landing and makes some sense.
Some of it. like, for example, when you talked about the tree from the seed, so can kind of like get my head around that. Getting my head around the seed frame. But just a couple of questions. First of all, is a seed frame literally a build-up of words like you put up on the presentation there? So is it literally, or were you just using those words as a kind of a way to explain what a seed frame is? So is it literally words like those words?
Yeah. So it's a seed phrase.
Right.
And it is literally these words. So to give you a bit of a, this is like a next level down in just understanding why, and it really does help. These are not random words, but they are randomly chosen. But
I mean,
they come from a box of words. There's 2,048 of them. So somebody decided at some point, it was called BIP 39. It was an improvement of Bitcoin. Someone suggested to the community and said, hey, I have an idea for how we can create some, what's the word I'm looking for? Not consensus, not regulation, where everyone agrees the same thing. Like I've got a way for us, if we can agree on this, it's going to make everything better. So he said, hey, if we have this list of 2,048 words, without going too complex into it, binary is 8 digits, 1001, all these sorts of things. So you have this really long address. And he said, if we start with a series of words, each word on its own, when translated into data, creates a unique set. So rather than remembering this unique set, we can just generate these words, which will generate I think I have a picture of it here. Yeah, there we go. We're going to use this. So forget the word 12 for now. Let's just stick with 24. So 24 words are selected out of a box of 2,048. And that box is important, and I'll tell you why in a second. From those 24 words, an algorithm churns and creates something called a seed phrase that is 512 bits. That just tells you how big it is. Don't worry about it. Just means it's very, very, very big, very big. Once that seed phrase is, or seed key is created, another algorithm happens where they take it, they times it by something, they do more stuff with it, and that creates a private key. They spin the private key a few more times, and that produces a load of, sorry, that's a master private key, produces a lot of private keys and public addresses. These are the ones that are the ends of the branches. Think of them like the leaves. These are the ones that you would say to someone, hey, I'm going to send you some Bitcoin. What's your address? And you would say, this is my public address. And you'd give one of them at the end, that one that's on there. You know, my hand cuts off anyway. Let me just get rid of that code box. So those 12 to 24 words, the thing that makes them all unique is the fact that the first 4 characters of every word in that 2,048 words is unique. There is not a, look at number 5. I'm just curious on this software. If someone could let me know, can you see my mouse? You can, can't you? Yeah. So look at word number 5. There is not another word out of those 2,048 that starts with SNAI. And these words, each one of these words is linked to a number, let's just say a very long number. So when you add all these words together, you get a very long number. And I only have to start timesing it by something, dividing it by something, square rooting it. And what I end up with, this one here, is a very unique number that is almost impossible to backwards work out. And then if I take this long number here, and I do some more multiplying, some more, we call it hashing it. If I hash this out a little bit more, I get this one here. And if I hash that one out a little bit more, I get this one here. So by the time you're at this private key and public key stage, even if someone got access to one of them, there's no way they're going to work out this, and there's no way they can work out that, and there's no way they can work out this. It's only forwards moving. It's not backwards compatible. And those 4 words that's why those 4 words, that's why the 2048 words are important. They're a pre-approved, pre-agreed set of words, so that any other piece of software knows that when you put those words in, it knows what to do with them. And that is what births your seeds all the way through. So I'm just going to come back to James. Does that answer that question on whether of what that picture was originally? It is actually words. Your seed phrase really is words, and it's just an easier way of remembering and writing down something that actually is a series of numbers and letters. It's far easier for you to remember 24 English words than it is for you to remember an absolutely ridiculously long number.
So is this who or what generates this? So is this randomly generated and then assigned to me?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do now. Just let me just make sure I log out of something. Perfect. Give me a second to add into the mix. Duplicate that. Just give me 1 second, guys. I want to so it's desktop app. So this. All right, cool. Everyone can see that? Switch across. I'm going to take your silence as a resounding yes. I do need some feedback on stuff, guys.
Yes, I can see
interactive
it.
call. Cool. So, Exodus is a piece of software. Gmail is a piece of software. Microsoft Word is a piece of software. There is nothing fancy about this. But when Excel runs big calculations and spreadsheets, like someone's coded that to do that. Like so much of the world we use today, we've got no idea. I don't know how a car works, but I get in it every day. So somebody made a piece of software called Exodus. It works on your computers, it works on your phone. Exodus will be considered a hot wallet because it's on my phone. It's not a physical device. When I load Exodus, and now obviously like I'm already in, so it's saying enter my password to log in. That password is just for this software, just for this particular one I'm running. If Chris comes on my computer and thinks whilst I'm downstairs, oh, I'm just going to go into his Exodus wallet and hit his seed phrase, it won't let you. It's got a password. And if I was to load Exodus on another computer, I could put a totally different password in. The password has got nothing to do with my seed phrase. It's just a layer of security for this particular piece of software. But if I click restore at the bottom, it's asking me to enter my 12-word phrase. Can't click generate new. Wait. Give me a second. I don't think it's going to. Yeah, it's not. Because I'd have to fully log out of that. Let me just stop my camera 1 second. Because I would like to be able to show you. I might have to physically log out of it, which is cool. 1 second. See if we can generate one so you can see it. Okay. No. I think once I've I don't have another piece as well. Yep. Okay. So I'm not going to be able to literally with Exodus show you it working, but I'm going to just kind of verbally talk through it so you can see. And I want you to just imagine you're doing there we go. I have a button there that says restore. When you first load Exodus, it will say, do you want to restore or do you want to make a new wallet? If I click the word new wallet, it will just give me 24 words. Because whoever wrote Exodus wrote it to work with an agreed protocol, just like whoever created Chrome browser agreed to write Chrome so that it could work with hypertext transfer protocol, Safari, Mozilla, Microsoft Edge. All of these are independent pieces of software, but they all agree to use the same protocol. Whoever wrote Exodus agreed to work with what's called BIP 39. And that means that when you click, I want to create a new wallet, it goes to the box of 2049 words randomly. And there's a whole process of how it randomly chooses those words. And then it gives them to you. And it will give them to you just like, so look. If we go to just startup seed. Let's have a look if we can see something here. There we go. Hope you guys can see that well enough. So it will literally just say step 1, I want to start a new wallet. Step 2, step 3 in this instance, it will give you a list of 12. For Exodus, it's 12 words. I'm not going to get caught up on 12 or 24, but it's a seed phrase can be either. And it will just give them to you. And it really emphasizes for you to write those down. So whatever software you're using to generate your wallet will always take you through this process. You don't need to necessarily know how it works. Just like you get in your car, you turn it on, and it works. So there is an approved and an agreed algorithm, a calculation that occurs when you say, I want to start a new wallet, and it will give them to you. You write them down, and that becomes your seed. And you wouldn't share that with anyone else. So James, does that help answer where they come from?
Yeah. So it's randomly generated, but I don't have one now, do I? It's not as though I have one from all the Gmails, or do I have one?
Oh, no, not forget. All I'm using email for is an analogy. That's it. It's purely just to
right.
We understand emails, and I tend to find that emails is a good way of understanding seed phrases. It's just and addresses and things like that. So I'm going to come to those questions in a minute, but before I do, on that whole conversation of where they're coming from and everything like that, does anybody have a question on that point?
I have a quick question.
Sure, Louise.
So although I said I am new to this, and I am, to be honest, I've recently bought a bit of Ethereum through Coinbase, and I don't recall getting a 12 or 24 digit word. Is that because you said it's through like a third party? They'll have that 24 word seed phrase on behalf of me.
Yeah, and they'll never, they could have, remember that one seed has an unlimited number of branches. So if I was a company right now, it's really simple, I could have my own seed phrase, and every branch could be for a different customer. So I'd have a Louise branch, I've got a Chris branch, I've got a Richard branch, Josh, so on and so forth. And each branch can have an unlimited number of sub branches and leaves and everything. So I don't have a seed phrase to give Louise. I just have my seed phrase. If I gave her my seed phrase, she'd have access to all of my customers' accounts, because the same seed phrase births the same thing. So it's not that Binance, KuCoin, Coinbase are holding your seed phrase on your behalf. It's they have their own wallets, their own addresses. They're holding your crypto on your behalf. You actually sent it to them if you were sending it to them, or if you were logging on and you were buying, you're buying it through them, and they're just storing it on their address, on their seed phrase and their branches.
Okay. Wouldn't it be better for me to have that than stored in there?
Cool. So that I think that's you that asked that question, wasn't it? What's better?
Yeah.
Yes and no. So there is a saying that a guy called Andreas Antonopoulos, super good guy to watch online and super geeky as well. But he does explain things really, really well. He coined the phrase, if they're not your keys, they're not your coins. And there are enough instances in the crypto world, and the media loves to make a headline of these, where crypto companies go bust. And if a crypto company goes bust and your money, your coins were sat on that exchange, your chance of recovering those are, well, let's just say you don't have much of a chance of recovering.
Yeah.
Liquidators might come in, but if anyone's ever been owed a bill from a company and it's gone bust, you're going to get 1% of what your invoice was. Yeah, a few laughs there. We've all had that experience. Because the company's gone bust for a reason, it has no money. And usually it goes bust with a lot of creditors saying, hey, I want my money. No one gets anything. So the safety of coins does come into it. But this is where we start to look at risk. If you're trading those coins, if you're doing stuff with those coins, you don't want to keep moving them every day. Moving them costs money, takes time, takes your time, and you have to wait for things to actually move. You know, it's not just a click of a button sometimes. So there's a reason people keep money on exchanges. But if you're going to hold something long-term, meaning I want to set and forget. So some of you on here might be interested in buying some stuff and just adding to your portfolio, yeah? Then you may very well want to consider self-custody and having your own seed phrase. But just understand that it is more important for you to be able to operate at a level of technical ability that's equal to you or less than it is for you to try and operate at a level of technical ability that's higher than you. Because ledgers, for example, these things, I don't promote these to everybody because they're complex. They're not hard. They're just, if you don't have a certain amount of technical competence, it will blag your head. And we all know this. If you've ever trained anybody or worked with somebody, if they're blagged, they're not going to do it, or they're going to do it sloppily or something else. And so the minute you self-custody, there is risk, and that risk is you. It's you creating, let's say you take the seed phrase and you make it really safe, you put it on a piece of paper and you give half to your mum and half to your brother, and your mum passes or you fall out with your brother, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, you need to restore your seed phrase one day, and your brother's like, screw you, you're not getting it, or something like that. I shouldn't have said that. I've got two brothers and sisters on here. I'm sure you guys have got loads of love. But you get, we all know what family relationships or any relationship can be like. So there is a risk with self-custody, and that risk is you, which is how well are you managing it, because it's yours, it's sovereign money. And in the event of you passing, this is a really big one. You get hit by a car tomorrow. Nobody, if you haven't thought about that and you haven't found a way to actually pass on to somebody where your seed phrase is, what to even do with it, or that you even have crypto, then that money is gone forever. And that's a really big one that people don't think about sometimes. And no one ever thinks you're going to get hit by a car tomorrow, because the chances are we won't. But if you're going to suddenly move, Tereth's moved all of his stock portfolio to crypto. Now, at the minute, it's on Binance. Well, that's cool. There's a way and a method that could still be recovered upon death, so long as somebody knows he had a Binance account. They could, what's it called? Is it probate? They could go to the courts, get access, email them. They'd be like, prove ID, I can't prove ID, yada, yada, yada. But they could do it. But to throw a spanner in the works, Giraffe, if you have not verified that Binance address, they don't know who you are. You might think that's really smart right now, off the tax radar, whatever your disposition is around that and declaration, that's all cool. But if you haven't written stuff down and if you have not provided your identity, then no one knows that money exists and no one can gain access to it because it's probably only attached to your email address. So unless someone went into your emails and noticed and was like, hey, he's got an email from Binance here and started playing around, that money's gone. So self-custody is technically safer, but it is fraught with bigger questions that most people have never had to think about because we've never had sovereign money. The closest you could have is gold. But if you have gold and you die, you just need to tell someone where the gold is. It's in the vault. And here's the password for the vault. It's that simple, you know, the gold's there. Whereas seed phrases and what you have on that seed phrase are a different question altogether. So I'm trying to answer your question, but at the same time, there's no one magic pill of this is, I can't sit here right now and tell you this is what's best. Because I'll tell you now, if Andreas Antonopoulos was next to me, he'd look at what I do and be like, that's not secure enough. I mean, the guy eats, lives and breathes code. He knows, you know, he knows what he's doing to a level that I have no comprehension of. I'm just going to read. I want that to just sink in. I'm going to open up to questions and stuff. We're on the last, wow, I have talked for a long time. And I've got questions coming in on my phone as well. Chat. No one with direct questions. All right, let's just go through some of these. I'm going to leave buying without a bank for now, just because it's a totally different topic. But you can buy without a bank, but you'll pay for that. Whenever you want convenience, you'll pay for it, regardless of what it is. Ben made a point, just to give another help with the email analogy, that Gmail and Outlook allow for 10 alias addresses. So my email, let's just say, is daniel@daniel.com. But I could also have daniel.h@daniel.com, me@daniel.com, hello@daniel.com. And some of you, if you have businesses, may have multiple email addresses, but you have one mailbox. And that one mailbox is where you check everything. So you can have, that helps with kind of understanding this analogy of different branches and different trees for one seed. Paul says, is there a consensus of how much of your investment should be stored on a hot wallet like Celsius or a cold wallet like a Ledger? Just a quick answer to you, Paul. Celsius is not a hot wallet. It is an exchange. It's a third-party custody because you have if you have a username and password to log in, then you don't have a seed phrase. You have someone else has that seed phrase. So you have at the safest end, safest in brackets, you've got a cold wallet, this thing here. Then you have a hot wallet in the middle, which is a computer. And then you have an exchange, where someone else holds onto that completely. The teacher says, Daniel, so if someone were to find our seed phrase and put it in a random wallet, could they access our crypto that way? Absolutely. Your seed phrase is the bottom of the levels of protection. That seed phrase, even if we're friends, do not tell me that seed phrase at all. Just keep it to yourself. You would only share it with people that you trust, and that's it. And by share, I mean you're sharing it so that you're protecting against you losing it. If I write that seed phrase down once, that's a massive risk, huge risk. So you at least want to have it written down twice, and they need to be stored in different physical geographical locations. Because if they're both in your house and your house burns, then that's not good. If you are going to keep one in your house, you may want to consider something like these. That is it's called a crypto steel, and it's basically a steel version. So they send you out a lot of numbers, a lot of words, a lot of letters, and you literally unlock this bit here and you slide them in, and you only have to record. Let's see if I can get you a better picture. See, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only got space for 4 letters here. So for example, I don't know if you see it, the 4th one says I think it's type something here. Number 9 says S-O-U-T. So they only have space for 4 characters, because remember what I said, that those seed phrases, the first 4 characters are unique. So when you're restoring a wallet, if I just type the word S-O-U-T, there's only one word it can be, and it knows what that is. So if you were to store something, you might want to consider something like that. There's nothing wrong with pens of paper, pieces of paper and pencils, not pen. Pen degrades over time, pencil doesn't. But again, it's just levels and layers. You start somewhere, write it down, and store it somewhere is to begin with, and store it somewhere safe, somewhere else in the house. Then take it somewhere else. And in each time, like sovereign safety, the ability to own your own privacy, doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Just like building a property portfolio, it takes time. You don't just go out and buy a £10 million property portfolio. You start somewhere. Like going to the gym, you don't suddenly get a 6-pack abs and arms and legs. It takes time. You start somewhere. So security is exactly the same. And you may choose to begin with, for Louise's instance, she's not started yet. She might say that, you know what, an exchange is perfectly fine. I have money on an exchange. I work with trusted exchanges. I like Binance. I don't think they're going anywhere fast. I think Coinbase are good. They're not going anywhere fast. They charge you a lot of fees, but they make the process really easy. And convenience, you'll pay for it. So there's nothing wrong with an exchange, but it's important that you understand where the risk is. All of you right now accept a certain amount of risk when you go to your kitchen and you turn on your hob. It is gas, there's fire and flames, but you accept that a gas man's been out, he's checked it, that whoever made the cooker made it well, and you accept when I turn that gas on, it won't explode. So I use exchanges, and I have looked at them and I deem them to be safe enough companies, meaning I don't think they're going to go bust, and I don't think they're dodgy and trying to steal my crypto. Therefore, I'm comfortable using them. But I also use hot wallets. I also use cold wallets. My stuff that I'm storing long term, I keep on a cold wallet because I don't need it. It's safe. And then the closer I need it, I've got hot wallets and I've got exchanges. So Letitia, that's your question about understanding stealing seeds. Ben is asking a direct question. Would I click on restore in Exodus to enter the seed phrase from my dead ledger? Yes, you would. What I was just trying to do before this call, Ben, was understand whether or not you can enter a 24-word seed phrase into Ledger, because Ledger is a 12-word seed phrase. And I just was trying to do it for this call. I had a lot of stuff today. I don't think it is. So I don't think you can use Exodus to restore a Ledger. So what Ben's talking about is when he powered up his Ledger, these hard devices here. Just switch over to me. When you turn on a Ledger and you connect it with a cable and you load a special piece of software, it will give you a 24-word seed phrase. Let's say that we lose this. Okay, it's gone. All I have now is my handy 24-word seed phrase. How do I get access to my crypto? So Ben's looking for a piece of software, so it would be hot, that he can put that seed phrase in, birth the tree, and get access to everything. Initially, seed phrases were 12 words. And then people said, hey, it will be a lot safer if we use 24 words. Everything becomes more encrypted, it becomes more harder to break. And Exodus uses 12 words. So the answer to that, Ben, is I don't know. But I'll tell you what does work. Electrum. It's a bit more of a complex piece of software. I would look at Electrum, and I would also look at Atomic. I think Atomic uses 24-word seed phrases. But I'm going to make a list of these as well to understand. So that's just a question specifically to Ben. You know, Letitia says the risk is you. Very, very true. So Neil says, oh, welcome, Neil. Good to see you join us. The positive, every time somebody loses a coin, it increases the value for everybody. It does. And just to give you guys some context, to answer Chris's question about how early we are, there's 21 million Bitcoin. Just like, imagine there's so much gold on the planet. It's 21 million Bitcoin. We've currently mined 18 million of it. Of that 18 million, it is estimated between 3 and 5 million Bitcoin are already lost. Gone. I know a person that had 8,000 Bitcoin on a hard drive, threw his computer away because he was getting a new computer. He was messing around with Bitcoin in the early days. And then obviously now he's got no way of recovering that computer. He didn't write a seed phrase. I mean, there weren't seed phrases back then. It's just a private key. And those 8,000 Bitcoin are gone. He tries not to think about how much those Bitcoin are worth today. So there's 3 to 5 million of the 15 million that are mined just lost. People have lost access to them, don't know how to get access to them, early days gone. And more people will lose them, especially as this generation passes and dies. The people that are, by this generation, I mean, just generally alive today in crypto, that are not dealing with succession planning and handing down of information, they'll lose loads of Bitcoin as well. And of the let's call it like 12 or 13 million Bitcoin that are out there, there's only 2.5 million that's even traded on exchanges. Most of the Bitcoin that's mined is sat in cold wallets on the side. And there's less than 1% of the planet have a Bitcoin address. 0.46% of the people of the planet have a Bitcoin address. We are so early in terms of adoption, use, the amount of money that will flow into Bitcoin from larger hedge funds. So Bitcoin is now currently worth 1 trillion. And a trillion is if you've ever looked at a trillion in terms of seconds or time, it is a ridiculously substantial amount of time. Million, trillion, billion. And if you've never done this, just try and just wrap your head around it. I think a million is something like 13 seconds ago. A billion is 3 weeks ago, and a trillion is 3,000 years ago. It's ridiculous. I mean, let's have a look at that. So that is 1 million in bills. That's a human being. Am I on screen? Yeah, spotlight myself, so it's a bit bigger for people. Oh yeah. Million is this tiny little bit there. A billion is like, what's that? 6 pallets of money, and that is 1 trillion, and that's the human being down there. It's just unfathomable, the difference between 1 million, 1 billion, and 1 trillion. So crypto, Bitcoin is now 1 trillion, and that's still a drop in the ocean. I mean, derivatives alone is quadrillions of money. Gold is what, 400 trillion, something like that. So we're so early in the days of big wealth, all that wealth coming in. If the big 4 firms put 1% of their investment money in Bitcoin, will be anywhere from a $50 to $100 trillion market cap. You know, it's ridiculous to think about at this stage, and that's why seeing all of the banks' adoption over the last 6 months has been. They've been waiting for it to reach a point of maturity where it's safe for them to get in. They're not bothered about making gains from 10 cents to 50 grand. But the amount of accumulation by large hedge funds and investment firms at the $40,000 to $50,000 mark for Bitcoin has been astronomical in the last 6 months. So we're super early for that. Andrea says, each time you invest some more money into crypto, what do you do with Cold Wallet? Does it automatically update? Does it have its own software, or would it be exclusive for another time? No, that's good. Every time, you got to remember that if I send you an email, the minute you turn your phone on and connect to the internet, your email app shows you that email. You didn't send it to the phone. The phone inspects your email server that's probably in wherever, Gmail, it doesn't matter where it is. It's exactly the same with crypto. My crypto is not on this device. This is just a device that allows me to inspect the blockchain. And that's the big record of all the information. So if you were to send money to your address, the next time you connect your wallet, you'll see it, but it's not on the wallet. It's a big misconception that people think the things are in the wallets, just like you would never think your emails are in your phone. They're just a window to let you see your emails. A wallet is a window to let you see your crypto. That's it.
So would that automatically read it off the Coinbase wallet, for example? So if I've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Uniswap, Cardano, and each of them has a wallet number, like an account number, would that cold wallet read it off Coinbase?
No, because you got to remember that that's not your keys, not your coin. So when you log on to Coinbase and you see you have 1 Bitcoin, that's not your Bitcoin. From a seed phrase perspective, that's Coinbase's Bitcoin. They know it's yours, but it's not from a technical point right now, it's not yours. It's not on your seed phrase, it's not in your brand. It's on a completely different wallet held by somebody else who basically says to you, if you want it, we'll send it to your seed, we'll send it to your address.
Right, so what's the process to get it from Coinbase to, say, the Ledger cold wallet?
So you would open up any wallet. You would say, I want to open up a new wallet. You would say, here's your seed phrase. You write it down. And then...
Sorry.
It's okay, I know. I always find your ringtone amusing. You can, if you just press the side button, you can stop it. Has it stopped?
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. So you'd say, I want to start a new wallet.
All through this meeting, it's never gone off until...
I think it's one of these guys from your meetup called you as soon as you've muted yourself. So you would say, I want to start a new wallet. To answer James's question earlier, it randomly generates the words. You write those down. When it opens up, you would say, I want to create a new Bitcoin address. Boom, it would just be made. And it's derived through lots of calculations from that seed phrase. You have a new Bitcoin address. You log on to Coinbase, you click send, it says enter your address, you paste, send, it's gone. Now you've just moved funds from someone else's seed phrase, fundamentally someone else's addresses, to your addresses. And that's it. Now that's yours. And any money, any coins you send to any addresses that come from that seed phrase, from your ledger, from your wallet, hot wallet or cold wallet, are automatically always there. Just like if I send you an email, it's there. You don't have to look for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ben says, thanks for clarifying. So I need to find a hot wallet that uses 24-word seed phrases until I get a different hardware device. Thanks. Yeah. Basically, Ben, yeah. And I did realize they were direct messages, so I hope you don't mind sharing that. I do apologize. But yeah, you need to find a piece of software, but just remember, you can also find ones that are browser based, but just do your own research and just be really conscious of where you're putting that information. Neil says, that's the bloke that's trying to pay the city to evacuate and dump and give them 25%. I don't know what you're referring to there. Probably something I was saying at the time. How safe are hot wallets for long term? How good are you? This is a question from Chris. How good are you at keeping your computer safe? There's a really good video. I'll put it into the FLT group about safety and security. And I can't stress enough for all of you, get a password manager. If you do not have a password manager, if your method for remembering passwords and creating passwords comes from your brain, they're not secure at all. They're so, what we would call forcible, brute forcible, for someone to get into something. And you can't pass that on. Having a password manager means that you can have it, it's all stored somewhere. It's dead super easy. It syncs to all your devices. It generates passwords for you. It stores them most nice and easy. So how safe are hot wallets long term? If you're on a Mac, and I'm assuming everyone on here is not super techy, so we're working on basic technology as it powers up. So we're looking at Mac and Windows and Chromebooks. In order of security, it would go like this. Windows is at the bottom. It's the least secure, standardly turned on by a mile. Chromebook immediately turned on would be in the middle, and a Mac would be at the top. Because Macs people poke phone and all sorts of stuff at Macs for their closed ecosystem. The reason it's closed is it's highly safe and secure. Your phone, for the most part, is safer than your laptop. It's much harder for someone to put malware on your phone than it is your laptop. The exception would be if you have a MacBook, but even so, an iPhone is safer than a MacBook. So the hot wallet, is a hot wallet safe long term? It depends what device it's on, who did it, and whether you're keeping stuff up to date. The best thing I could say for anything is update everything. Never don't update. Updating, not having a non-up-to-date device is one of the biggest security flaws you can have. And working on an old device, some people work on devices that are still running an old version of Windows. Get off it. You need technology that's equal to the amount of requirements of what you're doing. If you're a plumber and a plasterer, you just need to do your emails. Yeah, use whatever device you want. But if you're going to get into crypto, or you want more control of your digital life, you absolutely need a device that's capable to meet your standards of what you need. Anne-Marie says, but how safe is a password manager? Can't they be hacked? Everything can be hacked, right? Everything can be hacked. But I'll tell you, if a company's job is to make a piece of software to store passwords, that's their job. That's what they do. You do have to trust it, yeah? Of course you do. And again, the minute you're trusting a device that's syncable between different devices, there's a threat with that. And LastPass and OnePass are two of the biggest ones. Their job is to make safety and security. So they're encrypted on your computer. They don't even hold a database. They hold an encrypted version of your password. So even if someone hacked their servers, they wouldn't have access to your passwords. It all has to be de-encrypted. Just like right now, if I get hold of your public key and private key, I can't work out your seed phrase. It's not encrypted, but it's hashed out so many times that it's impossible for me to get back to its original source of information. So to operate through life, we have to trust some things, and then we have to what's what I'm looking for? Determine what that risk is. So I trust password managers, but I don't put my seed phrases in them.
What did you say those password managers were? LastPass and OnePass. There's a few more. In the FLT group, if you click on the pinned message, there's a referrals tab, which has also just become a dumping ground for me to put links of things that are important for managing and maintaining your privacy, your security, your crypto, everything. Where's the FLT group? What platform is it on?
Andy, did you share just the link for the call?
Yeah, just at the moment, I'm just about to put the link in here so people can go onto the Telegram.
Oh, it's on Telegram. Okay.
Yeah, cool. That's okay. That helps me understand why when James said, I've just put it in the chat as well.
Okay.
So you can all click it there. So I run a Telegram group called Future Leaders Today, and we help people with privacy, with safety, with security, with software and finance. It's a very free and open space. And you can ask any questions in there, and somebody will answer them, or me and Richard will get to it as well.
Okay.
Paul says, is Mac keychain okay? It is, and as far as built-in Mac keychain, for those that are not Mac users, is Mac's version of password management, just like Chrome has its own one. Mac keychain would be one of the best ones, but it's not easy if you have an Android device. So if I want to operate on Windows, Android, Mac, all these things, I can't just access my Mac keychain. I have to have Mac, and be signed in as me and all that sort of stuff. And so in terms of sovereign passwords, which means you owning it, having control over it, I don't recommend it. So I moved everything out of Keychain, and I pay, it's only like $50 a year, $40 a year for LastPass. And that allows me, when I get a new device, you know, I'm in control of my passwords, whereas Keychain can get a little bit complex. And if you want to garden Keychain to make it a bit better, it's not the easiest thing to work with. So it's fine. But again, just understand where it sits in the level of things and understanding things. So we're over by 3 minutes. I do try and keep things really tight. I've really done my best to not just talk at depth into sub-seed phrases, because there's a lot of new people on this call and a lot of new people on their path. So it's totally understandable if some of this goes really over your head. Some of the calls we have are just open forums, just Q&As, just general chats, more like a crypto social than anything. And they're really good spaces to ask, like, what is a blockchain? And we can discuss that and really get your head around why it's so big and why it's bigger than the internet. And at one stage when the internet was coming, people just thought it was a fad. It's so big, but we can't, it's easy to not comprehend the scale of it. Really easy to not comprehend it. And at some point when the penny drops and you're like, oh, wow, you start to really understand why it's going to change everything. Why Anne-Marie's question, which is a valid one, won't they turn it off? You can't turn off a blockchain. It's decentralized. There's like 11,000 people running the Bitcoin node. It's impossible to stop it. Impossible to stop it. All they'll do is regulate things, because if they regulate it, what do governments love the most? Tax. Yeah. If you regulate it, you can tax it. Why would they turn off or ban the biggest tax ticking time bomb that's worth billions to a government? Billions. They're never going to turn it off. They're just going to regulate it and use it. And it will fit somewhere into a new financial system, which is already coming, absolutely already coming. So it's not a case of, blockchain is not going away. It's the next version of information. The problem with the internet is it's centralized. And you can already start to see the issues about censorship that's going on in the world right now. You've got the big tech platforms just cutting people off and silencing people. With blockchains, all the information is decentralized and modularized. Therefore, no one entity can turn something off. It's literally power to the people in a way. It's power to whoever is running that blockchain and working with those blockchains. And there's blockchains to solve all sorts of problems, from supply chains that people aren't using child labor in their processes, all the way through to property. We were talking in the when you join the FLT group, some of you property people, there's the ability to buy and sell homes in Dubai in 3 minutes. All checks, all land registry, money, no solicitor required at all. Just me and you going, I'll buy that house. I'm like, well, I own it. And it's on the blockchain and I can sign for it. You can sign for it. And in that single moment, the money leaves your account. The deeds are transferred to your names. All checks are done, come back clean. And if they don't, it wouldn't happen. It's called a smart contract. And so middlemen, anyone that operates in a middle space, that whole industry is going to be shook up. Every industry right now is being shook up. Finance is no different. It's just a very big ship. Very big ships take a bit longer to be shook up, but it will happen. It is inevitable. The one thing you can count on in life is change. Nature doesn't do static. So we can cover more about like just the big size of things like on a call altogether. So if you come into FLT, you're up to ask any questions, and I'll probably do one of those soon. We started doing topics and themes now so that people can have a reason for what a call is. A lot of you have just come on with Andy's gracious sharing, and you've kind of come into the middle of one you might not have just jumped into. So I've tried to just adapt it to cover everybody. And yeah, got a couple of messages that are private there. To want to know what I'm invested in. Another call. I'm not going to share what. It would be irresponsible of me to share right now what I'm bullish on, because the rule number one of crypto: we do not FOMO into crypto, which means fear of missing out. Click on the pinned message in FLT, and you'll see a whole glossary of terms. Crypto is a coffee percolator. You learn drip by drip by drip. You get bigger in the gym or healthier by having one better meal at a time. So for the people on here that this is new, just understand that it just takes a bit of time. Just be consistent with it. But the biggest thing I can ask everyone to do, two things, is one, understand why blockchain, it's good to separate these words, blockchain and crypto, will completely change how we see the world, more so than the internet. And if you can understand how much the internet changed into social media, even though you don't know why yet, blockchain will do that bigger. And there's tons of information to help you understand that. So one, understand what it is you're investing into, rather than just trying to make a quick buck. And number two, when you start and you do get a seed phrase, just really look after it. Really think about it. Don't just write it down in your journal and carry on with your life. Just really think about it. And there's nothing wrong with exchanges and hot wallets and cold wallets. They all serve a purpose. They all have risk. They're all very different risks. But the biggest thing you can do as ever is just educate yourself and be patient with yourself. Some people still don't understand the internet. We use it every day. So if you can begin to understand why blockchain is so great, it's one of the greatest things that we could have given our society, especially where it's at the minute. Trust is a big issue around the world, and so is centralization. And blockchain is a way for us to start to spread that out a little bit more and have a fairer system for everybody. And that's the thing that excites me the most. So I'm sorry I've gone over a little bit. Usually it's a hard stop. The last couple of calls, we have been a few minutes over. I want to thank everyone that's come, that is a regular, that comes every single week. Really want to thank a few of the new people that came. Sorry, I don't have time at this stage to just have a little bit of a check-in with everybody. Feel free to join the group. I hope you got something out of this call. If you want, we do it every single week on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time and 8 p.m. UK time. You're welcome to join. Hope you see you all soon, and take care and enjoy your crypto journey, because you really are early. Can't stress that enough. So just be kind to yourself, educate yourself, and enjoy it. Cool.
Cheers,
Thank you very much, everyone. You're welcome. Take care.
Cheers,
Have a
mate.
really
Thank
nice
you.
evening.
See you
Bye-bye.
next week.
Daniel.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Daniel.